Ascended Master El Morya. Channeled through Julie Miller. April 21 to 28, 2015. El Morya.
When it comes to your communication skills, there's always work to be done as you realize that good communication skills are necessary for all relationships. What we often observe is people becoming defensive, shutting down, or on the verge of snapping emotionally. When people withdraw or snaps in a response, toxic emotions are exchanged instead of participating in the giving and receiving of love, compassion and joy. Even if you have taken the time to let go of some of your old beliefs and patterned reactions, there is no promise that you will magically cultivate great communication skills. The development of decent communication skills requires a lot of time, tolerance, patience and practice, just to name a few. You won't automatically gain effective communication skills just because you let go of distasteful habits. It takes work. There are many dear souls that don't consider their communication skill to be violet. But if you are known for making jabs at people, criticizing, or for demonstrating bouts of frustration or anger, you are communicating fears, and these can easily be perceived as being negative and violet. Before you can practice developing good communication skills with others, you need to treat yourself better. You also need to communicate with your inner self more often, and by becoming accountable to understanding what your needs are and what your level of perception is. Such an endeavor requires time in order to really understand the goings-on within you and to integrate what you have learned in order to break down the old patterned ways of doing things so you can replace them with newer, brighter ways of living and being. Investing time learning about the inner workings of you is never a waste of time. You will reap many benefits that will aid in improving your communication skills that will have positive effects on all your relationships. One of the most important factors that goes into communication is the need to be understood. What this means, dear ones, in order to express yourself effectively, you also need to be able to understand the person that may be talking to you. If you don't understand even the slightest part of their conversation, then you have a great likeliness to misinterpret what is being shared. Being able to truly and fully understand what you are reading or what someone is telling helps to create empathy. Empathy is one of those skills that is lacking in many dear souls simply because they are too busy rushing to slow down to understand. Empathy and effective communication is most needed in your personal relationships where they affect relations with your spouse, partner or those you hold very close to your heart. It is these places, dear ones, that reap the most benefits when you improve your communication skills. One of the best ways to improve your communication skills is to observe the words that come out of your mouth. Ensure that you understand the words you use and if they contain embedded agreements. Most of the time, the words you speak comes out automatically, without thinking too much. Your verbal reaction is based on your own belief system. When you become aware of your words, you are given a great deal of information and learn what it is you are looking for. Many of the expressive words you use are used commonly by yourself or by others, so you pick them up as your own. Many things that happen that are out of your control, such as the weather or long, grocery lines, or high traffic. Things like these that are outside of you often get blamed for the reason behind your mood or how you are feeling. If you think about it, dear ones, what does the amount of people in a line have to do with your emotions anyway? Absolutely nothing. It just gives you something to blame instead of focusing inward to discover the true root of your mental or emotional suffering. The long grocery line, or stormy weather may appear to be what is causing you grief, but deep down you know this is untrue. Passing blame doesn't take into account the turmoil and busyness that goes on in your mind. It is your expectations, assumptions, conclusions, understandings, and beliefs about long lines or foul weather are more about how you truly feel. All the long lines or foul weather does is trigger a negative response that affects how you communicate regarding the situation. How often have you said this about someone else? He or she makes me so frustrated. Since you cannot control other people's emotions, blaming them for your frustration is inaccurate. The other person might trigger something inside of you. Maybe they say things or do things that are frustrating, but the emotions are yours, not theirs. It is important, dear ones, to recognize that your emotions are up to you to understand. Many of your reactions are related to how you are feeling, but the words you express can help you to identify with your beliefs. It is understood, dear ones, that it can be difficult to see your beliefs as being false as they rise during an emotional upset when they appear true. Many times you incorrectly point the cause of frustrated emotions to something else and leave them there without paying any attention to the words that come out of your mouth after, or of the assumptions that follow behind the words. By paying more attention to the words that you utter as being untrue is a vital step forward to making progress at developing your communication skills. Your ego may resist and you might feel some strain as you let go of false truths and belief systems that have not been of the highest of good. No one likes to be caught in a lie, and your ego, even though is not a person, does not like being caught either. There are perks to having enough self-awareness to catch your ego self lying, as it helps you to identify more with your authentic self in your verbal expressions. When you can express authentically, just think how much your relationships will improve for the better. You will be reaping in happiness. Your mind has a way of developing tactics and methods that remove you from dealing with uncomfortable emotions. Sometimes your over-busy mind creates rewarding style strategies or plans that are pleasing to others but don't necessarily make you feel okay or help to lighten your own discomfort from troubling emotions. When you compensate, you are allowing yourself to be distracted from seeing what is real and from what needs your attention. Try refraining from the habit of compensating. Instead, focus on the emotion that makes you want to cover up what is really going on. To be successful at refraining from compensating, you need to be aware that you often compensate. Remember, dear ones, every time you attempt to influence another person's behavior is an example of a compensating strategy or plan in motion. It is hard to let go of false beliefs, but necessary, dear ones, in order to solve the mystery of becoming better at communicating and to free yourself from your own emotional trappings. From your effort to observe your words and the beliefs that are often attached with them, you are able to identify so many of your uncomfortable emotions that have been allowed to sabotage so much of your journey. You are taking back your power from their negative ways and let them dissolve into nothingness. It is up to you, dear ones, to make yourself more aware. Pay attention more to what you say, know what you are saying, make journal entries that note communication issues, read what you write, and become better at observing the words that come out of your mouth. Only you can increase your level of self-awareness. No one can do this for you. On your way to happiness, communication is just one stop along the way. It may be a crucial stop, but there is more for you to discover, there is more for you to learn, and much more for you to become. You will go further because you are not meant to remain standing still for too long. And so it is. I am Ascended Master, Morya, through Julie Miller.